It is time we talk about the incident. The Red Bull Faster incident. The trauma that some players experienced during my Trackmania event. Spoilers! This will contain spoilers for the Red Bull Faster tournament. Please watch the finals if you haven't already. It was a spectacular event. And it ended in spectacular fashion. I'll show you guys how. Let's set the stage. This is the format we were using. So going into the last round, Carl has 0.17 of a second more health than Grenady. Grenady needs to beat Carl in this round by 0.17 of a second. And that's the one we want. Here we go.
For Carl, all he needs to do is be Mr. Consistent. All he needs to do is...
So very final round. They're playing for about 10,000 euros. And Carl makes a mistake. We said 1700ths of a second. Grenady is ahead by 0.2. It's a tricky map, this one. A lot of precise turns. There's this downhill into icy tires. A lot of nerves. 0.4. Grenady's looking to be the champion. Still ahead. 0.37. Lands good. Grenady's gonna take it. Grenady! Grenady loses. If you haven't seen this, it's absolutely insane. Grenady's leading up to the last jump by 0.3. He hits the plastic here, and Carl gets a much better bounce. And he gets sniped. He gets a slowdown, and as you look at the player cam above, he can't believe it. It's a swing in the prize pool of, like I said, 10,000 euros. So first place gets 17,000 euros. Second place got 7. So about 10,000 euros in that one moment. But what happened? What happened here? How is this possible? How is this possible? Well, a couple of things. Grenady got a slowdown, and Carl, he was the official winner of the tournament. But if you look at Carl's reaction after this, Carl here hears that Grenady says he bugged, and he can't believe it. Like, he's not happy to win this way, you know, because he thought he had lost, and then he wins with the bug. This bug happened several times in the tournament. It happened to Uffy earlier on in the finals. It was the first map of the grand final. So here, Uffy first place going into last checkpoint. If you look at the left, round 1. So Uffy's car is up here. This one. He jumped to the left side. And everyone passes him by 0.4. He got a slow bounce. Now, if you also look at this, there's some different strategies. Carl Jr. turns around completely. Pack turns a bit sideways. Uffy and Grenady just go straight. Grenady gets a good bounce there. Next round, Uffy again gets a slowdown at the end of this round. But you can't really see him in the view. He's 0.25 behind. Good speed down the hill as well. 0.25 behind. 0.7. So this bug consistently loses half a second. And it happened 3 times in the finals. This is something that players actually noticed during the practice. Many players noticed this and experienced it. And the one way to mitigate this, the one way to avoid it, that Carl is doing, is to turn around. When going up this jump, if you turn the car... It doesn't save time, but it avoids the bug. And it's very interesting because, like, this is something that we couldn't really understand. It's not really understandable at the time. It's a different hitbox on the spoiler. But, like, why the bug happens. Many people thought it's so rare that it's not worth doing the turnaround. Like, if you get the bug 1 in 1,000 times, what's the chance it happens in 7 rounds you play in the final, right? And there's also a bit of danger because this is a big jump. If you decide to go for the turnaround and you initiate the turnaround too early, you're gonna miss the cam. It requires really good timing. Just as you're about to go off, so you have enough time to rotate. But if you don't get within the opening of the can, you miss. You miss the finish, and you're insta out. This bug is really rare. I studied it so much when I got back home from the event to see, like, what's going on. And I was able to recreate it. In fact, I was able to recreate it 8 times in about 1 hour. This is what I learned about it. You see a lot of different jumps. They all get this slow bounce. What I understood is that you need to jump up with a very early rotation cancel. You need to steer in the air to really lock the car and then not steer on the bounce. And sometimes this will happen. Is it actually because of the inputs? Is it actually because of the plastic? Like, what's going on? Well, Waypoint Mapping did some tests, and there was a post in Discord. Whiskey said, for everyone curious about what happened in the Red Bull finals, basically what happened is sometimes, somehow, the car can clip through the block for a few centimeters and hit the block behind it. We put an invisible plastic plane in front of a glass platform block, but the plastic plane wasn't far enough in front of the glass, as shown in the image. So they said it's a 3 centimeter gap. They increased it to 14, and then it didn't happen anymore. But I still got the bug on 14 centimeters. This is 14 centimeters. So this is up here, there's invisible plastic, and then the glass right here behind it. But on 14, you can still get it. So the wheels can actually clip through plastic and hit the block behind and get you a slowdown because you're crashing into the block. And plastic, you can't really crash. We did further tests. If you make that item at the ending only plastic, to my knowledge, it is impossible to get the slowdown. So this is the version with only plastic up here. The red is plastic. There's no glass anymore. And every bounce, no matter how awkward, will always point you towards the finish. In all the cases I've tried here, not able to get the bug. However, I can see if I can show you guys. If we can try to get one on stream. Let's see how long it takes. Also knowing how it works, right? You air brake, you hold steer, and then you let go. This one was good. I'll tell you guys. You'll see like 8.2 if it's a bug. Also, if you're slightly angled, it's bad. This is good. Like, this is something that the mappers weren't aware of. I myself in testing wasn't aware of it. But we started seeing some people get it during discovery and during their practice, and then, you know, you have to make the call, like, is it so uncommon that I actually can't afford to risk this in match? Because from the streak of attempts I've had now, like, who can blame Granati for this? You know, this is working perfectly. But then if you start to get this and it's like, this one slowdown could potentially cost me, you might do what Carl did, which is a turnaround. But it's so hard to say. Granati 1 out of 400 in practice. It depends if you do full runs, I think. If you just do the practice map, I think you should get it in 400 attempts. That was a 6.6, like a pretty good end. There you go. So it took me 3 minutes, guys, to get the bug. 7.6 is a good one, right? And then you get this. So I wasn't steering, it was just press forward. But yeah, it can happen, right? Carl might have just been fortunate enough to have the bug more times in practice, and therefore decided, I'm not going to bother with this. Because if you turn around, there's a huge difference. You're still going to crash the plastic tile, but you're going to get about the same times, 7.6, 7.7. But importantly, you're crashing the plastic with a part of the hitbox that seemingly can't clip through. I don't know if you guys know this, but at least in TMNF, this, guys, is the hitbox of the Trackmania Nations Forever car. And it's safe to say that the TM 2020 hitbox looks something like this. It's got a yacht. Level 100 yacht car. This is the reason why turning around is safer. Because you crash with a bigger hitbox and you're more likely to get just instant plastic bounce down. If you hit with the front, it's apparently that the wheels clip through. It's insane that this ends up deciding the final. And I don't really think you can fault anyone. Like, it's a rare enough bug that the mappers didn't catch it. The map is public, the players know it. It's a rare enough bug that some players think, like, if you think on the turnaround that you have a higher chance of missing the can completely like this than getting the bug, you should go for the jump up, just straight up, right? If you think the bug has a higher probability, then you go for the turnaround, but it's all just a freak incident. But ultimately, I don't think plastic's the issue. And that is at least a good thing, because players are scared to put plastic bounds in their maps. I think there should be plastic, and that it's not really a bad thing if they're properly calculated and all, but Here, it's the fact that you can actually get a, yeah, clip through a block. It's something we didn't know even before this. And that's what leads to this moment, guys. If we go back with all this context, you can watch it again.
A little bit. Grenadi now looking for the drift towards the right. Ball 10 still the advantage. Ball Grenadi. A final couple of
Camera
corners
shaking.
A final couple of corners.
Full focus.
Between him and victory. Grenadi sees
A little bit sideways on that.
Unstoppable in dominance.
You know the worst part? I realized so quickly when I saw Grenadi not flying to the finish.
Grenadi sees it.
I realized he lost right here. Should have been a redo? No, but this is, like, you can't redo a moment like this. You can't redo a moment like this. This is what happens. I think if Carl got this, if any, like, Offie, you know, got it twice earlier, you can't redo rounds based on something like this when players have known about it ahead of time. It's just what happens. Could have happened to either player, but Carl has plot armor. Carl doesn't turn around. Carl doesn't bug. And that is kind of why he also is the 6-time champion. He always like minimizes the risk of these things happening to him. I mean, I feel for Grenadi. It's so sad. It's so sad for Grenadi. Because it shouldn't happen. There was one more clip I wanted to show. It was our live caster reaction, if I can find it. This is the reaction.
A final couple of corners. One jump between him and victory. Grenadi sees it. The trophy in his eyes.
Dude, it was so horrible. It's like watching a crime. I don't even think Medic fully realized in the moment. He looked back, I think, to see who was celebrating. Overall, though, I think it was a good event. I mean, it's a little unfortunate to have something like this happen in the final, in the sudden death, on the very last round. But you also cannot script these things. You cannot, in a way, ask for a more story-ridden final that is now still talked about a week later, and we'll try our best to avoid bugs in the next one. Sorry, Grenadi. Sorry also Offie. Sorry to anyone who got this bug, but I mean, it's cinema. But yeah, that is the incident that decided 10,000 euros. Commiserations to Grenadi, congratulations to Carl. And thank you to everyone who watched the finals. I'll try to make a new one. I'll try to make a bigger event next time. Bigger crowd. Maybe more cars. I don't know how we're gonna get more cars in a room. It's a beautiful room.